Good morning, guys. Today we're going to go ahead and continue with 7.11a, which is solving setting up inequalities and equations and solving them utilizing multi-steps. So today we're going to start with the quote that says the secret to getting ahead is getting started. So essentially this ties into the fact that first and foremost, I want to commend each and every one of you that has taken the time to dive into this online instruction, and not only just that, but you have surpassed any and every misconception you may and did have. So I'm just very, very proud of each and every one of you that have taken the time to, do your work and become a better student in essence for next year, right? So yeah, guys, so I guess let's just move into it. So then the first question for today, guys, is going to be question number 6 that says the model represents the equation 3x minus 2 is less than 4. So it's an inequality. So just remember and keep in mind the difference between inequalities and equations. Inequalities have multiple answers. Equations are only one answer, right? We solve them the exact same way. Thankfully, they already give us our equation. So the first step, which is set up your equation, or your inequality in this case, it's already done for you. So you just write down your inequality. So we have 3x minus 2 less than 4. Next step is you're always going to isolate your variable. So you want to get whichever side the variable is, you want to get it by itself. So in this case, you want to remove our constant. So in this case, we see that we have a negative 2 next to the 3x. So we're going to do the opposite operation, right? So inverse operation is doing the opposite operation. So the opposite of minus 2 is 2 plus 2 on both sides. Okay, so we're getting rid of that constant. In this case, once we do that, we're going to get 3x is less than 6, right? Because that negative 2 cancels. So now our next step is we need to divide by our coefficient so we can get a single variable. In dividing each side by 3, good morning. And dividing each side by 3, we're going to go ahead and get x to be by itself, and we're going to get the 6 to turn into a 2. So we now have the inequality of x is less than 2. Just to verify that our answer is correct, we always need to do step 5, which is to check our work. So we're going to substitute back in our variable. So we start off with the original equation, which is 3x minus 2 less than 4. We substitute the answer that we have solved for, and we put in the 2 for x. We multiply the 2 times the 3, so the variable and the coefficient, we multiply them together, and we're going to get 6. We're going to write the rest of the equation, which is minus 2 less than 4. We solve the 6 minus 2, so the left-hand side of the inequality, and we're going to get 4, and it comes out to the same answer. So that tells us that we solved it correctly. So x is less than 2. And if we look at our answers choices, F has a 3, so no. G has a negative 2, so we did not solve for a negative 2, it's a positive, so G is wrong, and H is wrong, and our only answer is J. So there you go, guys. That's what you need to do. If you have any questions, let me know. Okay, going on to the next question, which is question 7. And it says the equation negative 2x plus 6 equals 4x is modeled. This one only wants the steps, but I am going to solve it just because it is perfect practice for us, right? So in this case, you need to be very careful because we have yet to see a question like this. If you notice, we have x's on both sides of our equation. Excuse me. So we have x's on both sides. So in this case, your constant is not a whole number. The constant you're going to remove is actually going to be a variable. Okay, so be very careful. So we're going to remove the constant in this case, which is a variable. So we're going to remove the variable so that we can get it to have both sides to be the same. So our equation is negative 2x plus 6 equals 4x. The variable I chose to remove, and the reason I do this is because if I already have the constant on one side, my goal is to get a constant on one side and a variable on the other. Well, if I have a constant and variable on one side, instead of moving the constant over and then moving the other variable to the side. Might as well just remove the variable, keep them on opposite sides, right? Less work, same answer. So here we go. So we're adding 2x to both sides, only because the negative 2x, the inverse operation of that, so the opposite of negative 2 is positive 2, so we're adding plus 2 to both sides. So plus 2x to both sides. The negative 2x is going to cancel, and the 4x is now going to become 6x. So we're going to get 6x is equal to 6. Of course, you already know your next step is to divide by your coefficient, which is a 6. So when we divide by 6, we're going to get x to equal 1. All right. So now that we have x to equal 1, our last step, we're going to substitute it back in. So we're going to write down our original equation, which is negative 2x plus 6 equals 4x. We're going to substitute the answer 1 into both x's. Okay, so we notice I have x's on both sides. So I have negative 2 times 1 plus 6 equals 4 times 1. We solve that part, which we get negative 2 plus 6 equals 4. And now we combine like terms on the left-hand side, which negative 2 plus 6 is the same thing as 6 minus 2. So we're going to get 4 on both sides. So that tells us our answer is correct. Now we go through our answer choices. The answer choices say remove 2 x's from both sides. Okay, so remove denotes subtraction. So the answer is not A. Be very, very careful with the verbiage. So removing means subtracting. We did not subtract, right? So step for us, there they say step 1, the first step. Our first step is obviously write the equation, but it already exists. They gave it to you. So your first step is actually to remove that constant, which is actually x's, but we didn't remove them. We added them to both sides, right? So B, which says add 4x squares. Nope, we didn't do that. Add 2x squares to each side. Okay, yeah, that's exactly what we did. So maybe it's that one. And D says add 2 negative 1 squares. There's no reason to do that. They're x's, not 1's. So that means that our answer is obviously C. And that's it, guys. That's your help for first and second question on today's day. So as always, your work for today is to complete questions 3, 4, and 5. Show me all your work. Send me the proof. If you have any questions, let me know. And good luck, guys. All right, guys. Hope to see you soon. Love y'all. Bye.